All right, what's going on, guys? All right, let's go. Let me know if you guys hear everything all right. What's going on, Akash? Just audio check. I think the audio should be good. Just want to make sure everything's good to go. You guys can see the screen all right. And then yeah. Now, I'll be honest, I was kind of like thinking about not even hosting streams this week just because Christmas and just the holiday weekend. This holiday week usually has a lot less of volatility. Now, funny enough, we had actually a lot of volatility today, especially on gold. This one was unfortunate because I actually had this on watch and I was going to make a video about this. Um, I was out last night and then when I came home during Asia session, the market just ripped. And the reason being is because on gold we had we were obviously inside of an overall bullish weekly structure. The weekly time frame, every candle was closing strong and closing bullish, and we had this higher high, new all-time highs that was here pretty much after we created a low at this fair value gap. And since then, the market has just been turning higher until we finally take out that high. I was looking for buys at the start of the week. Now, and the daily time frame confirmed it because on Friday's candle on gold futures, we have an EBP candle. Beautiful. We opened up inside the EBP candle's range. And if we go down to the 1 hour time, I think it was a 4 hour, no, it was a 1 hour time frame. There was actually a fair value gap that was present, right? So in here, the market was respecting this. I'll be honest, I was kind of hoping that in the overnight session, we would have consolidated, maybe create a fair value gap here on the 4 hour time frame as well. But we just kind of ripped straight higher. And it was very hard to kind of find any entry on this unless you got in like, yeah, like there was really no pullback. It was literally just straightforward higher, higher, higher. And then very difficult to try to enter on something like this, to be honest. Even on the hourly time frame, every candle was straight bullish. So that one was unfortunate, but the higher time frame play, if you guys go ahead and kind of back test this for yourself. Just go on the weekly time frame, see how we were in overall bullish structure, and then look how we got the daily confirmation, and then look what happens on the next candle. EBP with a clear higher time frame bias, that alone in 2026 will guarantee you guys get some sort of funding or get to some sort of payout, 100%. So it was unfortunate, but again, sometimes it's gonna happen. Like, well, would I have entered right here on this hourly fair value gap? It's easy in hindsight to say, yeah, just buy here, stop loss candle two, and that's it, right? But again, during Asia session, it's a lot more difficult, and you don't expect this type of move on a Sunday night, you know. So it is what it is. Now, um, Euro actually looks interesting to me. Now I'm gonna wait a little bit for the Euro. So before I actually get into this, let's get into NQ first and ES. I don't really see much going on here, to be honest. ES still has that gap, but what will be interesting, I think we're going to honestly consolidate. I think we're going to possibly rally higher, maybe going into tomorrow, then drop lower to fill this gap at some point. Because if you look at just the overall month of December on ES and NQ, we've just really been in this type of overall consolidation. Right now, from swing high to swing low, we are in a premium. So I usually don't like to play buys in here because you can, especially with the gap down being present. Now, we did have a little bit of SMT because NQ did hit that gap. We didn't fill it completely, but we did kind of tap into it. Interestingly enough, we do have a gap up in here. If we go to the 15-minute, you guys will see that on, what was that, December 11th. There was actually a gap that we never got filled. I would not be shocked if this ultimately came up in here. So I am watching this for the upside target on NQ, especially if we continue a little bit higher. But I would need to see if again, for me, as you guys know, I need to see some sort of higher time frame confirmation. So I'm watching this on the 4 hour to see if we can kind of, if we hold this gap in here and then maybe we form some sort of like EBP or some sort of market structure break or fair value gap on the 4 hour time frame, now the narrative to me is very clear. I think where we would go up in here, but I have to see it right now as currently constructed. There's no real confirmation as of yet. So I'm going to wait for that. Now that's the play that I have on ES that I'm going to be watching for. Has not transpired yet, but this is something that I'm clearly watching for. Now, dollar yen, I'm going to talk about FX pairs as well. I think this one looks good as well. So we actually had a beautiful weekly. This one is probably my favorite one that has not transpired just yet. Gold was number one, but honestly, dollar yen looks pretty solid as well. So Obviously, we've been in bullish market structure. We had this fair value gap and we tapped into it here. We tapped into it here. And then here we have a beautiful weekly EBP. We did not take out the EBP candles high just yet. And we did not take out this high, which is going to be the higher high in the structure. So typically when the market has, let's just say, the last swing low, I guess, was all the way down here, but we had like minor lows. So let's say here, we created a higher low, and now we are likely to get up into there. We also have this weekly EBP, and we're kind of trading right now inside of this overall breaker. Well, it's like this prior high. So I'm just gonna mark out this full area, right? The daily time frame, we might create a fair value gap, right? Because again, we have about 3 hours till close. This is by far my most favorite one. So we have a fair value gap that's possibly going to form. What I'm going to be looking for into tomorrow, do we have a setup under Friday low, which is going to be Monday's low, and then have a confirmation on the 4 hour time frame where we're going to start to see some sort of bullish market. Now we are already inside of this 4 hour fair value gap, so we'll see what happens. Because sometimes when this happens, like let's say on the daily time frame, we are respecting this area and we're inside of a 4 hour. Sometimes we won't take out the Friday low. For me though, I'm going to wait for a Friday low raid in this, and then I'm going to look for some sort of confirmation on the 4 hour time frame. So let's just say we drop lower in here, right? I want to see some sort of like, a little bit of a stop loss, stop hunt, fair value gap, or maybe inverse, whatever, on the 4 hour time frame. And then this will give me the confirmation to look to take out last week's high and this overall high. Dollar yen probably looks the best for me, honestly, of what I'm going to go for going into the week. Um, so we'll see. Hopefully, we do get a little bit of a run lower again and then confirmation. But this is going to be my top favorite because, again, the weekly structure is extremely bullish. There's no reason to fade any of this. And I think we might even come up a little bit up into here as well. We do have a weekly EBP, my prime setup. Daily time frame, we are going to start creating a fair value gap very likely. So A plus, I'm watching this one as my main driver going into tomorrow. Now, if you're trading on the futures contract, what you could do is you can take this same concept, apply to 6J. 6J is pretty much the same thing, but inverse. So with 6J, we actually, interestingly enough, we actually took out the prior week low already on this one. But so weekly EBP, we have the weekly EBP low as well. So 6J is Japanese yen futures. It's essentially the inverse of dollar yen. So if dollar yen, if you're looking for buys on dollar yen, the Japanese yen futures is going to be bearish. Same exact setup. Daily is also forming a fair value gap. Push up into this area, possible drop to last week's low. This is the setup that I'm watching for. I'll probably trade it on dollar yen, to be honest. But if you're trading like with futures props or you want to take a futures account, then yeah, you could do 6J, which is Japanese yen futures. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I have now for this PM session. Let's go here. Always start off on the 1 hour, 4 hour. We do have this 4 hour EBP on ES with some sort of with SMT, because if you go to NQ took out these lows, ES maintained higher highs, and we have this 4 hour EBP. But these are the EBP candles I don't like trading because right now we're above this prior high. We have this downside downside gap that can still get filled at any moment, right? Just because there's a gap, by the way, does not mean it's automatically going to get filled, because a lot of people have this misconception. It can get filled, but it'll get filled like maybe later on. And we're pretty high up on a Monday straight off the open. I don't like this type of EBP candle, even if it works. Like let's just say this fair value gap here sends price to new highs, right? I just don't feel comfortable because there's too much. Again, we're in a premium. The continuation is less likely based off the current circumstance. So this is like one of those EBPs I don't really like. Even the one on, there was actually one on NQ as well over here. This is exactly why I didn't like this one either at the open. I saw this one going into 10 o'clock. If you're just trading, like if you're just trading like, oh yeah, I'm just going to trade every EBP candle without any sort of like confirmation or some sort of a context, this is what's going to happen sometimes. Like again, we have the EBP, but we also have this gap in price that has not been traded to. You run, whenever you play a continuation, the market has left like a fair value gap or some sort of gap in price, you run the risk of this happening, where the market drops down and to fill it out, right? Or to at the very least just tap into it. That's exactly what happened here. That's why I personally did not take this setup in here, going into the 10 o'clock open. But yeah, but I think dollar yen has the best setup, to be honest, because of the higher time frame narrative. So this is gonna be the main focus, and we'll see what happens going on from there. Yeah, so my I do have a playlist. So let me actually link it. It's gonna be on my main channel. So on my main channel, which I will post in here just now. All right, so I'm gonna post the link in the comment section here. But essentially, this is my main channel. As soon as you get into the main channel, it's going to be the engulfing bar play system, and this is going to be the playlist right there. I tried to clean up my YouTube as well, just to make it as clean as possible, where you guys automatically see the playlist. So hop in over there. This channel is specifically just for the live streams and going live, and then that channel is going to be more for like the more structured videos. Okay. What about Euro? So I think Euro is also setting up for sell opportunity, to be honest. And the reason being is because if you go to the weekly time frame, again, every new week I start off on the weekly time frame. We do have this fair value gap in here. Now, this is the same exact play that we talked about on gold the other week, where we caught a little bit of downside. We didn't necessarily hit it, but you see how we were anticipating this fair value gap to get hit on gold. We was very close on this specific week. There was a little bit of downside, but we missed it by like a few points. I think Euro, same setup. We had this big push up on the weekly time frame. We cleared out a bunch of like liquidity pools. We took out this prior week high. We took out all these prior week highs as well. If you go to the daily time frame, we took out all this liquidity that was resting in here. So I do think that there's a chance that this weekly flips bearish. But I need to see some like so. Unfortunately, on the daily time frame, there's no fair value gap or there's no displacement. When I go to the 4 hour time frame, it's also pretty choppy. So the thing is, now I have this as a potential weekly low as my target, right? It's pretty much the inverse of dollar yen. Now, what I would need to see, honestly, and again, it's not setting up, but if it sets up, I'll post it in Telegram. But this is where my mind goes, right? Right now, we took off this high from last week. We pinned it. We're inside of this overall swing high, swing low, right? So is this going to be a potential lower high point? I don't know just yet because there's bullish market structure on the way up. However, let's just say we get something like this. We get a rally. Maybe the market takes out one more time, and then we break back below and we invert this and we create like a 4 hour EBP. Then I have the context of like, okay, well, now I can just look for lower lows and lower highs in here. And then I can go and tackle the weekly low, which is that weekly fair value gap that's present. So I'm bearish on Euro, even though I don't see a bearish setup just yet, but it could be forming. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I actually so there's actually so I think with futures, I will make a separate video on that specifically. I'll probably post it on this. I don't even know honestly which channel I want to post it on. But I am going to make a futures video because again, I'm going through different futures firms. Now, I personally like if you guys want to check them out, I like Top Step. But however, I don't want to recommend them because they have been having issues with their platform recently. I trade a lot of times. Uh Hold on one second. Yeah, my bad. I was just getting a phone call. But I personally like TopStep, but again, they have had a lot of outages when it comes to their platform. So like a lot, and it happens a lot of times during New York Open. I've been fortunate enough where I've only been part of one outage of their platform. So and because I trade primarily, a lot of times I'll take trades during Asia or I'll take trades like after the New York Open because I don't like trading the Open. The Open for me is not that great. Um, Alpha Futures is way better. Yeah, I'm gonna try them out. That's why I want to wait at first until I try out multiple different firms. Now, I will say this. One second, guys. I'm getting a phone call. I just gotta get rid of this one thing. Uh, yeah, my bad, guys. Give me 1 second. Yes. Okay, my bad. But yeah, so I'm gonna try out different futures firms. Again, Top Step for me personally, I like them because I like the platform that they're on. You don't need a trade copier as well because the thing is with most future firms, if you are someone who's coming from CFD props, you might want to take multiple challenges all at one time, right? So if you take multiple challenges like I'm doing at one time, like let's say 2 or 3 accounts at one time, because they're fairly inexpensive. Before I was paying like $400 to $500 for each individual 100K account on future on Forex. However, like you can buy a bunch of accounts for like anywhere between 60 to $120 for a 50K account. And you can buy like, let's just say you buy four of them. So it's pretty much the same drawdown. I just like the fact that because there's just pros and cons to each one that I'll make in a separate video. But it's cheaper. That's the best part about it. It is a little bit cheaper, a little bit more strict rules. But to be honest, nowadays there's so many firms that don't have any consistency rule when it comes to trading on the value on the funded account. That's all I care about. As long as I don't have any consistency rule on the funded account, then yeah. And everyone always talks about there is trailing drawdown, but the thing is trailing drawdown eventually stops. You just kind of have to build a buffer. Uh, let's see actually the next candle coming up on ES and NQ. So I'm gonna watch this, but to be honest, I wish ES kind of hit this low first, man. Like if we formed a 4-hour EBP after clearing this low, like if this happened here, I would be interested to look for continuations for the PM session. But I think I'm gonna more than likely just wait to see what happens for tomorrow. And honestly, I'm gonna be done trading by tomorrow. Tomorrow's probably gonna be my last trading day. Wednesday is gonna be Christmas Eve. Obviously, Thursday is Christmas. Friday, nobody's gonna be trading. So I would highly recommend, guys. I know it's like it's tough for for traders not to trade, but trust me on this. I always say like always trade whenever you can, blah blah blah. Avoid the Christmas hours because the Christmas hours volatility is going to be very very low. You have higher chances of slippage. A lot of firms as well are going to be closed during specific holiday hours. Like most firms are sending out emails right now saying they're going to be closed for specific hours. Not honestly, it's not worth it. I would personally just wait until like tomorrow. Don't get me wrong. Tomorrow I'm gonna look for opportunities. After tomorrow though, I'm done. Personally, Alpha Futures is way better. I'm gonna look into it. So let me. So actually, if you guys are using futures firms, which firms would you recommend right now for someone who let's just say doesn't like a consistency rule? Like, what is your top firms right now? Let me know. What about gold? Yes, I already talked about gold. I wanted to look for buys earlier on, but like in the overnight session from Asia straight up, there was like no pullback, no setup. Do I want to short this going into all-time highs? Probably not. It's a little bit risky if you ask me. Do I want to continue longing this? No. Now, other people might have other opinions. Like some people will just keep trading the continuation. For me, I have a rule. If I see this type of price action and we're hitting new all-time highs, I don't take trades on this asset only because again, this could end up reversing. This could, I don't want to just buy up here. It's too high up for me personally. Apex and Lucid, yeah. I've tried Apex, but honestly speaking, I tried Apex, got funded, got to the first payout request, and then apparently they have a 30%. So the thing is with Apex, there's so much rules for payout denials that it's worth it if you want to get 20 accounts and then get them uncapped. Like you see, like the people who are pulling in like 700K, 500K, $1 million, $2 million of payouts in one firm, if that's your goal, honestly, Apex is definitely the firm to do it. But like for me, they apparently like because there's a 30% consistency rule in the funded. You have also the trailing drawdown. Honestly, the trailing drawdown, this one, Apex has the worst kind of trailing drawdown because it trails on your open positions. So that sucks. So let's just say you have a $2,000 position. If you guys are not familiar with this, let's say you have a $2,000 worth of drawdown. If I'm up on a trade, $1,000, and that trade then goes to break even, right? And I make $0 on the trade. My drawdown just goes down in half, and my drawdown now is I lost $1,000 of drawdown because at the peak point of this $1,000 profit, I can no longer go $2,000 of drawdown from this balance, which to me is like it's very difficult. Now I'll say this: you can, and the thing is with Apex, like their accounts are not that Like everyone talks about how they're cheap. The thing is with Apex, you're gonna be paying all in like 100 bucks roughly for a 50K account, 120 bucks. You can get multiple accounts from other firms for less than this. Now, can you get uncapped payouts like Apex? And can you have the same scalability? No. But I think for most people, like they don't really want to go after that scalability aspect of it. And they also have 30% consistency. They have that trailing drawdown. And there's a 30%, I don't know what the rule is called, but if you're down 30% on any position from your current balance, like let's say you have $1,000 sitting in your account in profit. If you're apparently down 30%, so if you're minus 330 for the day exactly, or like let's say you're minus 400 bucks on an open position, then it kind of counts as like a rule break. Now you don't lose the account, you just have to trade the account until like, for the next payout period, but you'll get denied that current period. So for me, like again, I'm always in a situation where I want to be able to get payouts, right? Like with Apex, it's a little bit more difficult. Now, am I saying Apex is like bad? No, because I'm going to try them out next year as well. I'm going to go a second go at it, but I'd rather get like other firms that are easier to get payouts. Like Funded Next is easier to get payouts. Top Step is easier to get payouts because there's no consistency rule once you're funded. Um, I'm gonna try out Alpha Futures. I've heard a lot of good things about Lucid as well. So I want to get payouts first from these companies, and then it's like, you know what? I'll go ahead and try out Apex and try to go get those, 10 to 20 accounts and try to go for that really, really big payout. Am I using FX CFDs? The only one I would honestly, so Funded Next actually has. Let me show you guys actually. Let me show you guys this because a lot of there's going to be a lot of Christmas promos. So I'm going to be posting a lot of them in the Telegram. I'll also probably do a live stream just specifically for this as well. And I'll post them in here. Okay. So for CFD firms, there's actually a really good promo going on right now. I'm trying to pull it up because I have like a list of accounts I'm possibly going to go after. Now, this one, unfortunately, is not going to be for US clients, which sucks because I really wanted to get this plan. And let me go ahead. I'm going to put the link in the comment section right here. But they have this promo going on in Funded Next right now, where if you buy one Stellar plan, you get one for free, which is pretty insane. This is for the CFD prop firms, and it's not like so. The Stellar plan, unfortunately, not available in the US, which kind of sucks because I really want to get this plan. Because essentially, for like every one account you buy, you get one account for free, which is again pretty insane. That is honestly the best CFD prop that I have right now in terms of like current offers that they're running. And I think they just started it today, the 22nd. I saw it on Twitter. But that's for CFD props. So if you guys want to use my link, I put it in the chat as well to check them out. And you could use also either that code, you can use my code TNT. Let me put that in there as well. Now, I do also trade with Alpha Capital. Alpha Capital is by far my favorite one. I think they have the best conditions when it comes to no slippage. They have good spreads, and they don't have that much slippage at all. Like other firms, like for funding pips, for example, I like funding pips, but the problem with funding pips, if you guys have traded with them recently, it's very high slippage. Like you'll enter a position and then you're going to be down a lot of money immediately. And all these firms are creating these 1% max risk per trade. So for me, if you're gonna put 1% max risk, it's very difficult to trade that if you're gonna have high slippage as well. Yeah, so I'm gonna look into Alpha, Lucid, Funded Next as well. I've heard a lot of good things about Lucid as well. Lucid, I think, has the cheapest accounts, if I'm not mistaken, because I was doing a price analysis across different futures firms. Now, as you guys know, like there's gonna be give and take. Lucid does have one of the lower payouts in terms of let me phrase this correctly. So from what I've seen, Lucid has You can only get up to $2,000 per payout. So I think it's one of the lowest compared to all the other firms, but you do kind of get the benefit that is a cheaper account. Oh yeah, Tradeify. Thank you, Lucas. Yeah, I'm like, I know I'm missing one because I know Tradeify has the new accounts that they just unleashed. And again, for me, guys, let me just I want to clarify this. For me, I'm going to always favor the firms that have no consistency on funded. All of them are going to have consistency rule during the evaluation, or like if they don't have it in the evaluation, they're going to have it in funded. For me, I'd rather trade the funded just normally. Like I'm not trying to go through this whole process of like, oh my god, I have to watch how because it doesn't make sense. So like this is why I'm such a, it took me a while to pivot because nowadays more futures firms are having no consistency rule, right? Which I love. Imagine you catch this move on gold. Imagine you waited for weeks or months for a higher time frame move like this, right? Like you've taken like small intraday plays, no problem. But then let's just say you have a week where the weekly time, or let's just say even go to dollar yen. I'll stick to the gold since we're talking about futures firms. Imagine you were waiting for this all-time high to be hit. You're waiting from this week, and then you're waiting for this week. And let's just say you finally catch a huge move, or let's just say even the move that we caught last week on this really big impulse push up. Imagine you're waiting for a move like this. You get a really great entry, and then you hold it for throughout the whole day. And even again, NQ and ES does this, where there's going to be moments where the whole day is going to be trending up, or the whole day is going to be trending down. Imagine you catch a really big move like this on one day. To me, it doesn't make sense like the consistency rule because of the fact like some you're not going to have every day like this. But imagine you catch a huge move, you have great risk reward, you made like 7R on the day, right? Imagine you made 7R on the day and you're risking, let's just say, $500 on the accounts and you make $3,500, right? On like, let's just say if you're on a conservative risk or however much, right? You risk $1,000, you made 7,000, whatever, right? And you made this across 5 accounts. Why should I have to abide by a consistency rule? Because again, that just makes no sense. You're not going to get these types of moves every single day. And if you catch one of these moves, like think about it, if there's a consistency rule, you're going to have to cut the trade early because you can't make too much money, or else you're going to mess up your consistency score. So to me, it just doesn't. It never made any sense. I mean, let me know your guys' thoughts about consistency. It only makes sense if you're a scalper. Like if you're someone who generally scalps levels, or maybe you're using order flow to like scalp a specific move, and your win rate is pretty high. I've noticed like people like who are scalpers don't mind that. Um, how many trades do you usually average per week? I'll be honest, it really depends on the week because I get this question asked a lot. Like some weeks are going to be so many opportunities. Like there's like honestly, man, like there's weeks I'll take like 10 plus trades. And I know that sounds crazy, but like if there's moves every single day across different asset classes, because again, I'm not watching only one asset. I'm watching NQ and ES, I would consider that as one. I'm watching gold, I'm watching euro and pound, I'm watching dollar yen, and yeah, everything else here is like I'm not really day trading any of this stuff. So if some weeks, like maybe sometimes what happens is like maybe Monday might be great for indices, and then Forex has great setup on Tuesday, and then maybe gold has a great play on Wednesday. And now that I'm watching Asia session, sometimes I'll take a trade in Asia, and then sometimes I'll take a trade in New York. So it really depends on the week. Some weeks might be 10 plus, some weeks might be like 5 plus. I think if you ask me what's the lowest amount I usually take at the very minimum, it's usually about 5 trades a week. But there's weeks I'll take 10 to 15 trades, no problem. Hold on, guys. I got a phone call real quick. Keep getting these. Hold on, guys. Give me 1 sec. I'm just gonna. All right, my bad, guys. All right, let me go ahead and get back to it. Yeah, Tradeify is a good one. Alpha has 15K payouts. Oh yeah, my fund of futures is actually not that bad either. Because I think my fund of futures, they allow you up to $100,000 in total payouts. So I actually don't mind. I think my fund of futures is also pretty good as well. Would you prefer minimum? Yeah, honestly, like minimum trading days to me is no problem. Because like if you have 5 minimum trading days, and to be honest, if like most of the firms are requesting like 150 to $200 in terms of minimum trading days, this is not that hard to achieve. Again, depending on your style, right? And even if you take like let's just say like 2 weeks to get this, that's fine. You know, I just don't like consistency rules because the consistency rules, if you catch a really big trade on one day, you're penalized for that. So you're looking only for no consistency on funded, payout caps, and good slippage. Yeah, exactly. Now, CFD firms, you don't have to worry about that. There is no consistency rule for almost every single CFD firm. So you don't really have to worry about that, to be honest. So the next 4 hour bar just opened. I think the market's actually, yeah. But this is again, like this is what I talk about. So like even though this 4 hour is considered an EBP candle, right? I'm not gonna even if this rips to new high and we respect this hourly fair value gap, I'm not gonna take this trade because it's too high up, and we also have this gap below Asia range that we have not traded into yet. Now, had this formed, okay, so this is why like context. Everyone always asks what's context. Imagine this had formed like over here after sweeping this. And then let's just say that we had a daily fair value gap or a weekly fair value gap that the market did not trade into. That to me is a really solid context. Now, the problem with this is like you're trying to buy a continuation after the market just rallied all day. We're at a resistance level on the 4 hour time frame inside of this fair value gap, right? And we have a downside gap that has not been traded to yet. Again, it doesn't need to get traded down to here, but there is a risk that the market could just top out over here and then go down to this to fill this inefficiency or to fill this gap. So this is a good example of like the EBP where I would not personally take because it's too high up into price. Are you trading more FX or futures? Nowadays, more futures firms because the scalability is much better. Because you can get like this is my goal for 2026. You can get up to You can get like think about it. Every single firm offers about like almost 5 accounts. So you just need to select 4 good firms, max out each firm. So right now I have 5. As you guys know, I have 5 top step funded accounts. My next goal is to find the second firm, get another 5 accounts. But I'm gonna try to get a payout first from top step as well. I'm trying to build up the accounts first before I take a withdrawal. But the goal is very simple: is get a payout, get payouts, and then buy another 5 accounts from a different firm, get those. Then again, do this with 4 different firms because my goal is 20 accounts. I want to have 20 accounts in 2026 on futures firms all at one time. And then from there, if you do consistently $2,000 payouts, right? $2,000 payouts only for the month, not even like, every payout period, for the month, you're pulling in 40 grand. That's not even including like weeks or months that you have like way higher than 2000 as well. And that's also that's not even considering the fact that you can get more than 20 accounts in futures. Because the reality is like in futures, you can actually get more than 20 accounts. You can possibly get, I think up to like, I think realistically about 30 across multiple different firms. You would need, again, if you have 5 to 6 accounts per firm, then yeah. Now the problem is this: a lot of times with futures firms, if you're making too much money, or let's just say you're consistent, they'll move you to like live accounts, which is kind of annoying. But until that issue comes up, like that's the current plan right now. Now, someone else's plan could just be getting to 5 accounts, right? And then you just buy one account. You slowly work on the challenge. The challenge is much easier than CFD firms, in my opinion. It's way harder. Like CFD firms, if you listen, if you're someone who like is consistent, you have a strategy that you can execute on. CFD firms are way longer to get to get funded. You can get funded on futures firms in like a week, pretty easily. Um, Take the scalp back to 4 hour open. Yeah, that's true. Actually, hold on. I think I missed a few of them. Question. No, so let me okay. So this would you have taken the ABP printed on Nasdaq? No. So again, I actually saw this during the open, right? I even said the same thing. It's the same reason why I'm not taking the ES 4 hour EBP because NQ had the same setup, same exact thing, right? Like look at this. Look at okay, let me just do a replay so you guys can see it. This is literally the exact same thing that ES is looking at right now, right? Why did I say I'm not going to take that ES right here, this 4 hour ABP, right? Because I said there's a gap down here and we're at like a high point in resistance, we're in a premium. Now, can it go back up into here? Sure, but I'm not trying to take that risk because look what happened on NQ this morning. The same reason why I did not take this NQ long is because we had a gap and we were inside of like a fair value gap closure in here on the 4 hour. And not only that, on the daily time frame from swing high to swing low, we're in a premium. And we had that downside gap that had not been filled. Look what happens on the next 4 hour candle. We take out the low and we come back into here. Now, is this going to happen with ES right now on this next candle? I don't know, but I don't want to take the risk because that same thing can happen on ES. Even though when you go down to the 1 hour, we have a very nice fair value gap in here on the 1 hour time frame, but just the context is lacking a little bit. Yeah, so someone in the chat actually taking a scalp down to the 10 a.m. open. That's a nice little like a short right there. But for me, like on the 5 minute, yeah, it would be hard to kind of find a little bit of an entry. Yeah, but that 10 a.m. open, yeah, it looks like a little bit of a scalp down to the 10 a.m. opening price. Or who knows, like someone might even just take the scalp, like they might like take a little bit of scalp. But again, I don't like trading like that. Um, you only trade EBP or you have other models? Nah, so I trade multiple other models. I have at least like 4 to 5 different trading models. Now, some of them, to be fair, don't show up as often as EBP. Like I have a London close setup that I trade, but it shows up like a really good setup shows up maybe like once a week, if even that, maybe twice a week if I'm lucky. This is a really good question. So if firms hadn't been around, how do you think your trading journey would have been? I'll be honest with you guys, man. Like I've been trading for 8 years. Some people in here have been following me for a little while because I've been online for about the last 4 plus years. Before prop firms, I was just going for, like before prop firms, there was an era. I don't know how long. Let me know in the chat how long you guys been trading. Because before prop firms, everyone and their mom, they used to just flip accounts. That's everything that we were doing back in the day. So I would, and you guys can see on my Instagram, I think I have it as one of my pinned messages, or maybe, or like you could just go scroll down to 2022-ish, 2021, 2022. Like we were just depositing, like let's just say $5,000 accounts and just trying to build this up into like 10, 15, 20,000, withdraw money and then just do that. So that's what I was doing. And I was actually making a decent amount of money doing that. And to be honest, sometimes I kind of want to go back to that approach, maybe eventually, right? But right now, the opportunity with prop firms is too good. Because again, like I said, like imagine you can get 20 accounts and then you can get $2,000 on a given month on a consistent basis. You're making $40,000 with lower risk, lower stress. Because like, don't get me wrong, like flipping your own money is a little bit of stress. So I think like it wouldn't have really affected much in terms of my journey. If anything, I think prop firms. I will say this: prop firms have definitely accelerated things because again, man, you can make more money with less risk. Your ROI on props is much higher. Um, so if you want a strategy for funded, just go to the main channel like I talked about. The main channel, I have a bunch of videos on different strategies there. Okay, this is also a good question. So just asking for context, what would you need to see on the chart for you to start thinking about shorting towards Asia range? To be honest, I would probably need to see like, okay, let's just say we took out this candle's high, like, and we formed an EBP like this, right? And we formed an EBP candle. And then on that EBP candle, and if I go down to the 1 hour time frame, I see like an inversion and a bearish fair value gap. Now, guess what? Think about it, right? If that situation happened on the 4-hour time frame, right? And then we see on the 1-hour time frame, let's just okay, let's assume that this high was taken and we formed a 4-hour bearish EBP just as an example. And then I go down to the lower time frame and I see like maybe this candle in here is like a black candle. It's essentially what I call the backside move, right? Right? Like imagine you get something like that inside of a 4-hour bearish EBP candle, right? And then there's also maybe a fair value gap in here. Now that next candle, think about it. Look what happens. Now the market looks toppy. Right now you're fighting through this swing high, swing low to swing high with the support level. Now again, this could easily just fade off and come down in here, but like my ideal setup is when I see something like that. Like if I see a 4-hour bearish EBP and I see on the 1-hour time frame we inverted some sort of fair value gap or we have a bearish fair value gap, and then all I'm looking for is the next candle open to rally into that, because now I'm just looking for bearish market structure. Like once the market creates, like, let's just say a high and we have like a big displacement lower, I'm just looking for lower lows, right? And lower highs. So lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs until we get to our objective, which in this case would be down here for this little bit of a gap fill to the Asia range. The thing is this, all you got to do is just wait for a 4-hour confirmation. Once you see a 4-hour confirmation, like a bearish EBP as an example, right? Then all you need to do is just go down to 1 hour, 15-minute, or even 5-minute and just look for, is there a clear bearish structure where we have a swing high, the market rallies into a fair value gap, right? And every time we do this, we have maybe a little bit of a stop hunt, market makes new lows, right? That's all you're looking for until you possibly get down to that liquidity pool target. That's why sometimes I don't mind not getting the entry up here because I want to wait for like, let me try to find a good example of this actually. Where like you kind of just wait, you just have to kind of wait for like some sort of confirmation and then just go down to lower time frames to look for like structure. So for example, imagine okay, for example, like let's just say you were like for whatever, let's just say that there was a higher time frame, clear draw on liquidity here, right? And let's just say the marketplace at this current moment in time, right? Like it's all the way up here. And then you have this bullish fair value gap, right? Something like that, right? What happens is this. You're kind of waiting for the market to form a top and then you wait for some sort of confirmation. This was like a 4-hour bearish EBP that ended up forming here. You can go ahead and study this. This was on December 17th. Look how now that 1-hour fair value gap that was acting as support, it got inverted. Then when you go to the 15-minute time frame, we have a swing high, swing low, fair value gap, and this was inside of a 4-hour bearish EBP, right? Let me just remove that. You see the difference, right? Because now you have the 4-hour bearish EBP confirming, the 1-hour, this got inverted, right? And because we have a closure below that on this candle. And on the 15-minute, we have clear bearish market structure, swing high, swing low, and fair value gap, right? And like, again, if your target is like down here, right, you just look for this. And that's exactly what kind of happened. This was on December 17th. That's the same exact thing that I would be watching for on right now. The only problem is like on the 4-hour time frame, we didn't take out the candle bars higher, but sometimes what might happen is we just might drop down, close below this candle's open. But for me, ideally, again, I usually like to see like a 4-hour bearish EBP, 4-hour like big rejection, like something like this, right? Like look at this one, beautiful rejection at this fair value gap. Market comes back and takes it down to that lower low. This is actually a really great point. And that's why I'm always very honest with people. Like you have to decide what kind of trader you're going to be when it comes to funded, right? Like, are you going to be the person who's going to trade it at, like, there's no in between. Like if you have $2,000 worth of risk, how are you going to trade it? Now, some people take a very conservative approach. They're only going to risk about 150 to maybe like 200 bucks. Now, there's other people that are going to go high risk. I've seen crazy stuff. I've seen people risk the full 2,000 to try to build a buffer right away, because if they can get like, if they can get a 2R and they make $4,000 across 5 accounts, they have a lot of cushion to work with. Now, if you're going to take that approach, you got to have money to buy more challenges, and you have to kind of treat it more as a different type of It's not going to be this. You have to also have the emotional competence for it, because again, if you're buying 5 accounts and you're spending maybe 500, $600, you have to understand that if you're going to go around that approach, you might risk like, 4 or 5 times that amount. So if you're risking on average $500 every single time you buy a set of accounts, and if it takes you 5 times to finally get to that payout, you would have had to have spent 2,500 bucks. Now, some people, they don't mind that, because if they spend 2,500, but then let's just say they get a payout, let's say they had on those 5 accounts, they were able to get a $2,000 payout across all the 5 accounts, right? Each account, they just made $10,000. You subtract the cost of the accounts, and their net 7,500 bucks. So in this case, that person is profitable. But again, you need the money, and you need the ability to be able to handle blowing the accounts as well. Now I want, hopefully this 4 hour bearish EPP actually I'm sorry, 4 hour bearish EPP actually fails, so then you guys can kind of see exactly why it's important to just not take any setup. Now, if it works, I'm gonna have people say, "Oh, well, it worked anyways." That's fine, because I'm trying to find the EPP candles that have like bigger moves overall. But the fact is, like right now, we're sitting at this 15-minute fair value gap as well. So we'll see if there's any like reaction as well in here. The difference between CFD and futures firms, to be honest, is CFD firms, man, like they're good. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm still going to add CFD firms to my capital allocation for next year, especially Alpha Capital, because Alpha Capital, they offer, you can get up to like 400K in funding. So for me, if I can get 300K in funding, even if I get like $2,000 payouts across those accounts, and make $6,000 on average a month just for those, where that can kind of pay like my bills while I try to scale up with futures firms. At the end of the day, man, money is money. So it's like if you make an extra $3,000, $4,000 a month from an account, by all means. But I just think futures firms have better scalability, to be honest. Can you trade multiple accounts sometimes to TradingView? Yes, but you have to use TradeSyncer. So this is what I'm experimenting with. So TradeSyncer is this. Let me find it for you guys. Okay, yeah, this is our YouTube page, TradeSyncer. So it's a cloud-based trade copier, and you guys can go ahead and check those out. And yeah, so I guess like all the tutorials on how it works is over here. It's very simple. If you use a trade copier and CFDs, it's pretty much the same thing. So if you want to use TradingView, you can, and you can just copy trade the accounts. No, so this is a good question. So this is why it was also a turnoff. Let's just say, again, depending on the futures firm, let's just say you have 5 accounts. Each account at the current time they move you to live is, let's say you have $5,000 in each of these accounts, right? So you have 25K in total. Some futures firms will only move like a $4,000, $5,000 balance, irregardless of how many accounts you have. So then you only get to have like $4,000 to $5,000 in a live account, in one account. That's it. That to me is like it's annoying. And mind you, they can move you to live whenever they want, which is kind of bullshit. Because imagine, that's why a lot of people were bitching about funding ticks, because funding ticks recently, they just kind of released this thing where like there's some people that got before they even got their first payout, they got moved to live right away, which is, again, it's just an excuse for the firm not to really like have to pay. I personally don't think it's an issue. I feel like they should do it like Apex. Apex says, hey, do you want to take, let's say you have like, again, 25K across 5 accounts. Apex tells you, hey, you can either take out the full amount or we can move the money to live, right? And almost everyone just takes out the money. That should be an option. If that was an option, then that's perfectly fine. Then if they ban you, they ban you, no problem. But to move it to a live account where you have like, $20,000, $30,000 worth of profit, and they only give you 4 to 5K in a live account, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, which is the best CFD prop firm we should try? Um, to be honest, probably I like Alpha a lot because again, when it comes to slippage, they, from my personal experience, especially with Trade Locker, they don't really have that much slippage, and the spreads are pretty tight. Now, I'll make a full guide for you guys as well, like my like rating prop firms, which one has the best rules, and I'll post that in my Telegram as well. It's actually having a little bit of a reaction here. But see, like personally, again, like even if this one works, I am personally always going to stay away from these type of EBP candles. Too high up, fair value gap. Because you're all the thing is this too. You also have to remember if you're gonna take this one, then you would have had to take this one as well. And this one was a loss. Because sometimes people always look at the ones that ended up working. But again, per my rules, this is an EBP candle that I would not take. This is a candle that took out the prior high. We have a gap to the downside that has not been filled. To be honest, I want to see a bearish setup. I don't want to see a bullish setup up here. But right now, because even though I'm leaning bearish to these lows, I have to see a bearish setup. But right now, there is no setup. Now, there could be one maybe going into tomorrow, New York Open. That's why I said tomorrow is gonna be the last day of the year that I'm probably gonna trade. So I'm gonna watch it for this tomorrow to see if we can get some sort of bearish confirmation to tackle these lows, right? Pretty much all these lows. But right now we're inside of an overall bullish market structure. So like you have to be patient in this regard. I'm gonna answer a few more questions. And then we'll kind of go. Yeah, I have to go take care of a couple of things. I'll say this, definitely watch my EBP candle videos. I think it's the easiest way for most people, at the very least, to have a solid foundation. Because the EBP candles, you guys can see, like if you go on the 4 hour time frame, you go on every single EBP candle that you see on the 4 hour time frame, even with no context, you see that there's something there. Now, if you can just couple that up with understanding your market structure, understanding multiple other facets, then you could become a lot more lethal. So right now, I do not have a private community because I get this question asked often, and I appreciate you guys. Like some of you guys even sent out emails, but personally, like right now, I don't have any private community. I'm just doing everything on my public Telegram and YouTube. I usually take trades during the Asia session, so 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, and then New York Open after 10 o'clock. So I usually wait for like I don't trade the market open from like 9:30 to 10. I don't take trades personally. I like to wait for after 10 o'clock because it's a little bit too volatile in the beginning. And then also PM session, like sometimes here. Um, like okay, I lost everything. How to start? Listen, guys. At the end of the day, like you, you have to be a little bit cautious when you're trading, man. You should not be risking everything to begin with. That's the number one piece of advice I would say. So I'm actually creating a series about this. So money, I usually set a budget of like $1,000 a month. Now, just because you set $1,000 a just because you set a budget doesn't mean you have to hit that budget. So, for example, on the Top Step accounts, they cost me four, I think it was 465 for the 5 accounts. I did fail one evaluation and I got them on the second try. So it's like that was $1,000 right there. But I don't have to pay for the trade copier on that one. Mind you, it also depends. Like, for example, like last month, if you guys see me with Alpha Capital, I got $13,000 worth of payouts. So if I have a big payout amount, I'm going to increase the budget. That's my key thing to tell you guys because if you're using a budget based off of like money you're making from a job, you like in my opinion, don't make the budget too high. But if you have like a lot of payouts coming in, you can just shift and add more to your budget to buy more challenges. Because if you make $13,000 net and then let's just say you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to spend $3,000 worth of challenges. I'm still going to have $10,000 left. And even if you blow through a few accounts, like you'll still have a decent amount as well. Nah, unfortunately, man, like there's no way to avoid being moved live, which is unfortunate. And the problem is like they'll tell you you'll get to move to live after 5 payouts. The problem is most firms they have a disclosure saying that you can go ahead and that they have it's up to their discretion. They can move you to live before the 5 sessions. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna call it here because I have to go. I have to get a couple things done for other things that I'm doing. Yeah. So I'm gonna watch again. I'm still gonna be waiting to see if we get any sort of like backside or bearish structure in here on ES. Because again, I don't want to take this little bit of a scalp on the 4-hour EBP. I'd rather wait to see if we can come down into all this liquidity, right? At some point. Now, again, we're inside of overall bullish market structure from swing low, swing high, or at this fair value gap. So I'm gonna watch to see maybe this next 4-hour candle, which closes, it'll close going into Asia. Maybe we rally up here, reject, or maybe we just have a little bit of a wick high, reject. I'm gonna wait to see what happens. But yeah. Now this could have been like someone might ask, well, couldn't you just take like a little bit of a scalp like on this fair value gap based off the 4-hour EBP? Yeah, but again, man, that's not my style. I don't like scalping small moves like this. Like just for because some people will scalp a reaction, right? Which again, this would have been a nice little bit of a push here. But I come from like because I came from like the CFD side, scalping, I don't know. I don't feel as comfortable with scalping personally. So we'll see what happens on this one. Um, and as always, I'm going to keep you guys updated inside of the Telegram. So peace out. And again, I will host a live stream tomorrow morning at 9:30, probably 9:15. I'll have the link, but I'll schedule it for you guys as well. All right. See you guys tomorrow during the New York Open.